Okay, to start off, we'll start with the battery. Remember that you want to get your set of contacts touching this set of contacts in the camera body. So this camera battery goes in sideways like this. So you put it in sideways most of the way in, push it, and then push it towards the contacts, and you'll hear that satisfying click that says that the battery is in. Next thing you want to do is you want to turn the camera on, and you do that with this collar beside the red switch. That's the sort of the classic Panasonic setup. The other thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you are on camera. This red light will light up when you're on camera. If you're on VCR, there's a green light here that will turn on. So you got to make sure that you're on camera mode. And that's by pushing this. And of course we are in tape. We are not in P2 mode. To get a tape in this machine, first thing you do is you push this white or blue button rather, and then pull this tape door out. You'll notice that the carriage then comes up. Remember that you want to put the window pointing to the outside and the arrow pointing down. So you put that in the tape carriage, then you push the door and the tape carriage will go down. Then you finish closing the door. Now you're ready to shoot, basically. The easiest way to shoot with this camera is to put it on automatic mode. So to do that, there's an auto manual switch. You just push this onto auto. Most of you will want to use this LCD viewfinder, and that's fine, but there are two situations that you need to think about. First is, if it's very bright and you're outdoors, you probably won't be able to see the LCD panel. The other thing to consider is that the LCD panel does take power, and if you are low on battery power, you may be better off to just close the LCD panel and use the optical viewfinder. Okay, when you're doing white balance, the first thing you have to do is choose a scene. So you have three choices. There's preset at the bottom, A and B. You use preset for 3200 degrees Kelvin. That would be, you would use preset, for instance, if you were shooting here in the studio. Any other place, however, you want to put this basically in the A position. It doesn't matter, it can be in either A or B. The next thing that you have to do is make sure that the camera is basically in auto, because it works better in auto. And zoom in all the way on a white object, a white card, whatever. Then you'll see underneath the lens there's a button called AWB. You push that button and it will automatically do the white balance. Now if you want to focus manually, then you have to put this switch in M position, in the middle position. Then you'll need to zoom in all the way on whatever it is that you're focusing on, and use this to get the image nice and crisp and sharp, and then zoom all the way back and you'll get whatever shot that you want. It will definitely be in focus then. One of the things that people do most commonly on manual mode is to adjust the iris, or to adjust the aperture. So to do that, first of all, you have to push this iris button here, and it's this dial that's actually going to control the iris. So if you roll it down, it's going to open up the iris. If you roll it up, it's going to close the iris. But the question is, how do you judge this? And I think that we can see this by taking a look at what we have here in the viewfinder. What I want to do here is I want to reduce the amount of light. You'll see here on Dolores we've got a whole bunch of streaks that are going across. These are called zebra bars, and they indicate the whitest spot. This particular zebra bar is set up at 80%. So those zebra bars are showing where the light is reflecting at a rate of 80% or above. And I want to bring that down so you've got just a little bit of zebra bar here. So I'm beginning to roll it down. You'll see the F number is changing. It's now F3.4, F4, oh, a little bit of F. Okay, so this is a little bit dark, right? Oh no, there's a little bit of zebra bar. You can't quite see it, but there's a little bit of zebra bar right here. And in fact, when I look at this picture, this is actually a good aperture for this. Let me start out by talking about these input switches. These are for phantom power. So if you have a microphone that needs phantom power, you need to have these switches turned on. If your microphone does not need phantom power, and all but our Sony shotgun mic do not need phantom power, then leave these in the off position. If you're using the Sony shotgun mic though, you should put this one in the on position. But 9 times out of 10, you're just going to leave it in the off position. You don't need mic power. If you're going to be shooting using the camera mic only, then put these two switches, channel 1 select and channel 2 select, in the up position, internal. That's the camera mic. Now, if you're going to be doing an interview, if you're going to be using an external mic, then what I'd like you to do is put channel 2 select on input 2, and channel 1 select I'd like you to put on input 2 as well. So you put this right down at the bottom, and that will give you interview sound in both channels. At the back here you will see that there are controls for audio. I would just keep them in the 12 o'clock position. Remember that there is no automatic gain control on this camera. It is strictly controlled by the audio levels that you set here, and the 12 o'clock position is pretty safe. Now, when you're going to hook an external mic in, you have to hook them up at the side of on the right-hand side of the camera here. Here's channel 1, and here's channel 2. Since you're going to be getting mic audio off of channel 2, then what you need to do is hook your XLR into this one. Remember that you always need to put bars on the first 30 seconds of your tape, and generally if you're putting more than one shoot on a tape, you should put a little bit of color bars in between each one. To activate the color bars on this camera, you just push this button once, color bars come up, and then you push it a second time and the color bars disappear. One of the other options that you have here is to turn a shutter on. If you want to turn the shutter on, you push this. If you want to increase or decrease the speed of the shutter, in other words, if you want the shutter to be like really fast, which is good for sports, for instance, then you would push this. You'll see a shutter indication in the viewfinder, and it'll tell you how fast it's going. If you want to reduce the speed of it, then you hit the minus signal until it's reduced. And you can turn the zebra bars on and off simply using this button. Okay, the first thing I want to show you is the gain button. If you think of the iris or the aperture button controlling the amount of light going into the camera, then the gain button controls the amount of signal, electronic signal, video signal, coming out of the camera. The standard position for it is L. But if you're in a really low shooting situation and you need to get a little bit more light coming out, then you can put it on the M position. And if it's really, really low and you need even more, you can put it in the H position. The only problem with gain is as you add gain, you will find that the picture becomes more grainy. The other button that's really important for you to pay attention to is the neutral density filter. Whenever you shoot outside, generally you're going to have to put the neutral density filter on. Otherwise you're going to get like a real white tinge to everybody's skin. So just put this in the 1/8 position. That is kind of your standard situation or your standard position for shooting outdoors. In really bright conditions, put it up to 1/64. Remember that you're going to be using the neutral density filter, or you're going to turn the neutral density filter on before you white balance.